So I just had the Urban Winery Menlo 2016. It's from East Vancouver, so you can taste the street level grapes.
It is the Urban Winery.
I always feel embarrassed that I don't twirl enough around you.
Well, it'd be interesting to know whether that rosé is just simply the runoff from the Merlot, or whether they actually vinified that separately and intentionally with the intent of doing a rosé, or is that a byproduct?
This is the controversy we always keep talking about, where it's either like, is rosé an afterthought for most wineries, or is it actually something that people do for a living?
Sure, absolutely, and I think for a lot of wineries it tends to be an afterthought, but I think more and more wineries are taking it very seriously, and the grapes that are planted are specifically for rosé, and I think part of that is because
for rosé.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and part of that has to do with the fact that rosé has become so popular, and a lot of that has to do with Provence. And the imports from Provence of rosé have grown exponentially in North America, in the States hugely so, in Canada as well. But I think it's really driven by what's happening in the States, and as a result of that, there's a lot of people who are making really good quality rosé and in that drier style. And I think that's also the reason for the decline that I've seen from consumers of White Zinfandel. I mean, there's just not that many people drinking White Zinfandel anymore, which is, I think, a great thing.
If only there was a video about Quebec rosés that someone can go to. Please like and subscribe.
That Le Vieux Pain is such a good wine. Such a delicious wine.
From what our writers are bringing in from BC, we're just I think scratching the surface of what we can actually tasting.
No, absolutely. And Severin is such a fantastic winemaker, and this Syrah to me is really indicative of Southern Okanagan. I mean, it's got that freshness to it, but it's got that little meaty quality to it. It's a little bit peppery. I mean, it's a savory quality to it.
And now we're getting to a point in BC where terroir really means something.
Oh God, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So you have even the unnameable provinces like Kawchewan. I'm gonna get so much crap from the BC Wine Tourism Bureau. But it's really, I think, the East Vancouver vineyards that we need to be watching out for.
True terroir. I mean,
true terroir.
Absolutely. The concrete and the pavement.
So let's give a chance to urban wineries. Let's not knock the existence out of them.
No, I think it's a really interesting concept, and I think the fact that they are relatively close.
That's it.
Relatively close to wine country. I mean, the grapes still do travel a significant distance, so I'm curious as to the grapes that the wineries are giving up for this. Are they necessarily the best quality grapes?
Yeah. And the thing too, like right now, most wine bars are detached from their wine lists. They're not participating in them at all. I mean, they choose wines sometimes, for the most profitability as well as the most flavor profile. They're on equal footing at times for most wine bars. At least here's a wine bar that's giving you something that they made. They bring the name on them, and then choosing to really kind of put their footing on East Vancouver.
Oh, absolutely.
I just can't get over the East Vancouver part. I've walked through East Vancouver.
But
that's the part we're going to cut out of the video.
To me, the real great thing about this place is the fact that they are really, working with BC wineries and really highlighting them. And it'd be so interesting to see, how, because there are restaurants in the city who will do special bottlings from BC wineries that are made at the winery. And I think anytime you have an industry that is so close to an urban center, and you have such a great restaurant community, I think when you have that collaboration with the restaurateurs and the wineries, that's a win-win-win for everybody, I think.
You don't have this in Ontario. You would assume that would have been one of the places that they would have opened it right away, somewhere near in Toronto, being so close, even closer to Niagara than Okanagan to here. But I think this is like a West Coast concept.
Well, I think that there are restaurants in Toronto that will do collaborations,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
But I haven't heard of anybody who's making the wine on their premises.
Yes, on site.
On site, in the city.
Did you get through the whole thing?
Mm-hmm.
You put your arm down. We'll take a break. Elvis is falling asleep. He's not gonna last.